coming up on ATV News.
What pregnant cows have to do with pregnant women.
We'll show you why police put some Cache Valley schools under lockdown.
How riding the bus could cost you and what you can do about it.
Can't get enough highlights from Friday's game? Well, we got him. And LeBron James, do you love him or hate him? We'll tell you what the nation thinks.
A large storm is moving across the western United States. We'll let you know how it'll affect your weather.
All that and more, this is ATV News. Welcome to ATV News. I'm Misty Inglet.
And I'm Amelia Reed. Students at Cache High School are safe to go to class after a man on the loose, who police suspected had a gun, forced officers to put several schools in the area on lockdown. Jose Almaguer was taken to the hospital after showing up at a woman's house with a gunshot wound, which police say was probably self-inflicted. Police put Cache High and other schools in the area under lockdown after the woman, who knew Almaguer, told them he probably had a firearm.
We're seeing more and more gun-type calls in Logan and Cache Valley, unfortunately, but it's not something that happens real often. And you know, we work at our best to try to mitigate those circumstances and make sure our citizens are safe.
Police are still investigating whether or not Almaguer shot himself. They say he hasn't been very cooperative.
She felt like a freak and an abomination, so she killed herself. She was Ashley Hallstrom, a transgender woman who committed suicide on Highway 8991 last week. People battled rain and wind to gather at Smithfield Park Saturday night to honor her.
That's when I knew, I had made a friend.
Friends, neighbors, and strangers from as far as Salt Lake held a candlelight vigil to remember Ashley Hallstrom.
She was an amazing, amazing, amazing woman. She was kind to everyone she met.
Ashley is the 20th transgender suicide in the country this year. Before she died, she posted on Facebook why she was going to kill herself, saying things like, "People like me are freaks and abominations. Society hates us, and that made me hate myself. It had all become too much for me to take anymore." At this part of Highway 8991, the speed limit is 55. This is where Ashley came after posting her goodbye message online and stepped in front of a dump truck. Though Ashley was gone, she left behind a message.
The message being one where we need to create more safety and more acceptance for LGBTQ youth and young adults.
We wanted to make sure that people understood it's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to step out of society's norms and accept yourself.
This happens far too often. Not another life is something we say all the time and we want to work to, and someday we'll be able to achieve that. And we only hope that with Ashley's message we can start getting nearer to the end.
Another vigil will be held here at USU tomorrow at 7:30 on the TSC patio. If you know someone who needs help, call the Transgender Support Line at 877-565-8860.
They left their homes to defend our freedom, and now years later, we're paying them back. We're talking about our World War II veterans, and the payback is another trip away from home, but this time it's to an honor flight in Washington, D.C. There was a banquet in Brigham City on Saturday to honor those veterans and thank them for their service. They saw monuments to honor the Navy, Marines, Army, and Air Force. For some, it was their first trip to D.C., and a program chaperone said their faces filled with joy when they saw their monuments for the first time.
A lot of them come back after the war and never left home. They went ahead, got to work, took care of their families. Maybe they made a trip to Disneyland with their grandkids later on, but never went to D.C. to see all of the different things that were there.
If you'd like to donate to future trips, you can visit utahhonorflight.org.
You might enjoy using the free public buses to get around town, but soon they could be charging you for it. For 19 years, buses with the Cache Valley Transit District have been free, But a hearing on October 28th could change that. You are invited to share your thoughts and opinions at the meeting. The trustees want to come up with a plan that's best for the community. For one student, having to pay could make getting around difficult.
I'm a college student, so that would suck because I don't have a car and I have to get to work that's like 15 minutes away. So I have no extra money, like I can't pay for the bus.
The hearing will be at 6:45 p.m. at Bridgerland Applied Technology College. When we come back, they're easy to lose and hard to spend. Why these small coins make a big impact on your wallet.
Plus, we found a way for Aggies to pad their resume while seeing Washington, D.C.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know. Come alive with the forest. The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back. USU students are enjoying a new soda on campus thanks to Mountain Dew. It's called Mountain Dew Black Label. It has a dark berry flavor and arrived at Utah State in August. The soda is on 108 campuses around the country, but USU's the only one in Utah to have it. Mountain Dew Black Label is only sold in the Quick Stop and Hub, but sampling events like this are what have students excited about the soda.
The response has been awesome. We've been getting nothing but great comments about the product. Our Quick Stop and the Hub is asking for more of it. I can't get more of enough of the product. Students are just loving it so far.
Mountain Dew Black Label's next sampling event is being planned for later next week.
It may seem like 1 cent is the lowest a coin can go, but this Japanese yen is actually worth less than our penny. And as our Sarah Winder explains, it probably costs less to make as well.
Pennies. They're a patriotic symbol and have been around for decades. But now they have people wondering just what they're good for. Vending machines won't take them, and neither will parking meters. But people might, if they see them lying on the ground. And one reason for treating pennies like chump change? Pennies cost nearly twice as much to make as they're worth.
Anytime you're using just 1 penny, it's actually costing 2. But public opinion shows that the majority of people actually want to keep the penny around.
A recent study by the Harris Poll shows that in 2008, 24% of people wanted to lose the penny, and 56% wanted it to stick around. But now, 29% of people want it gone, and 51% want to keep it, leaving that as the majority. But regardless of the national majority, not everyone at Utah State is happy about keeping pennies around.
I think they're kind of worthless. I work at a bank, and so I see how many come through, and I think the government wastes millions on them.
But if the government gets rid of the penny, that means stores will have to round up prices for taxes, and you'll have to pay more at the cash register.
They'll go up sometimes just like 0.1%, and it changes the tax from 1 penny, just 1 penny, and it makes it would make a big difference if we had to adjust our prices every time they did that.
For now, the penny is sticking around, even if it's only in your wallets. Sarah Winder, ATV News.
Most Americans want the penny to stay, so the U.S. Mint is on the lookout for a cheaper alternative.
Better cows mean better burgers, but could it mean better babies? Ag nutrition researchers are studying pregnant cow diets. They want to improve the beef supply by changing the way pregnant cows eat. Because cow and human cells are so similar, good meat could mean having healthy human babies, but not just by eating it.
If you really like that good marbled steak, that high quality steak, those same mechanisms actually do control how muscle grows and fat grows in humans as well.
They're still in the early phase of their research, but so far they have seen a difference in the calves born in this study.
Students interested in an internship in politics are in luck. The Institute of Government and Politics reopened the application deadline for spring internships. We went to DC and found out how you could spend your spring break.
I interned in a Senate office.
Jay-Sean Bishop interned in Washington, D.C.
I interned at the Utah Legislature with the House Majority Leader.
And in the House of Representatives in Salt Lake City.
I loved them. They were great. They were the best experiences of my time in Utah State.
He did both his internships through the Institute of Government and Politics at USU.
We send students on Capitol Hill with like the Utah delegation in the Senate and in Congress, but we also have internships with lobbyists or with nonprofits or with think tanks back there. We have a lot of lobbyist internships with like Adobe or VMware, or with some of the lobbyists for the university back there. So there are a ton of opportunities off the Hill too.
Applications were due on Thursday, but even though people want to go,
and that's something that I really want to look forward to doing one day.
The IOGP had to extend the deadline after they did not receive enough applications for the spring semester.
Summer's our easiest semester to fill because we have so many students that can go during the summer. It's harder to find students that can go during the fall and spring just because I think students think it's hard for them to leave during the school year, or they don't really realize that they can.
It's not something I'd even thought about considering. Graduation-wise, I need to stick around here in order to deal with my extracurriculars as well as my job.
The internships offer pay and up to 12 credit hours for compensation, which Bishop says usually helps students toward graduation, despite what they may think.
I think students think it's taking like a detour from school or like pushing off graduation, when in reality I think it's just another part of just another semester, just in a different experience.
It's the best way to get to know people, and as you know, the cliche say, it's about who you know, and especially when it comes to politics, because your name in an application doesn't get you very far when it comes to DC stuff. It's who can talk about you and talk about your application.
Many students want to spend their summers in DC, but the Institute of Government and Politics isn't looking for someone that just wants a vacation.
Honestly, the main thing that I personally look for, and I think what Senator Lee hopes that I find, are people who are excited to give their best effort.
We just look for students that have really strong personal qualities, regardless of what their focus of study is.
And regardless of their focus of study, the IOGP says their internships are for everyone.
If you can show that you have experience in government relations and can move around in that world and understand how that world works, you're more marketable, you're more unique than other candidates, and I think employers find that really valuable.
You can turn in your internship application to Old Main 109. The deadline will remain open until they've received enough applications to fill the open spots.
When we come back, our Taylor Murray has your ATV weather forecast.
The current temperature in Logan is a balmy 64 degrees.
You make me wear my bike helmet. You taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt.
And to follow the swimming rules.
You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer? Here in the garage.
Closet. Shoebox under the bed. Where anyone can get to it. How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice, she's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh.
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
As you can see here, it's a great day on campus to play Human vs. Zombies. Welcome back to ATV News. I'm Taylor Murray with your weather. As you can see behind me, students are enjoying the weather on campus. As we head into fall, it is getting a little colder, and long sleeves and sweatshirts are coming out. A small breeze is blowing through the canyon, about 6 to 8 miles an hour, and rustling those leaves around. If we go to the national radar here, I'll go ahead and show you where that's coming from. A storm blew up off the coast of Mexico and is now coming up through New Mexico into Colorado. And if you look right here, you can see that the edge of that storm is pushing that wind up through our campus. And then over here to the east, we have a storm over the Great Lakes, causing some precipitation in Wisconsin and Michigan, as well as a small system over Iowa. We can go ahead and go to state radar now. If you look here, you can see the little bit of air pressure here pushing through. It's not really going to hit us too hard, but we will be experiencing some small winds coming through the canyon because of that storm. If we go ahead and go to the 7-day forecast. So today it's partly cloudy, high of 64, low of 41. Going into Thursday, the clouds are going to come through a little bit more and block that sun from us. High of 64, low of 39. Somebody's looking out for us. Friday will be nice and sunny for you to kick off your weekend. High of 62, low of 37. Heading into Saturday, those clouds are going to come back. We're going to get hit with another front. And Sunday, we'll have more coverage. The sun will be blocked a little bit more. On Monday, there is a 40% chance of precipitation with a high of 64, low of 35. And on Tuesday, the clouds will start to break up a little bit. It'll warm back up a little bit for us with a high of 67, low of 38. And so fall is happening. The leaves are falling off. And that means football season is in full swing. We'll go ahead and throw it to Taylor Condi to show us some highlights from the big win on Friday.
Thanks, Taylor. That's right. When we come back, LeBron James is the most disliked athlete in the nation, but the #1 favorite may surprise you. And Boise State had a wake-up call after literally dropping the ball on Friday.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome to today's ATV Sports. Aggie football is now 3-0 in conference after what may have been the biggest win in the program's history. Early in the first quarter, USU quarterback Kent Myers threw this pass to Wyatt Houston, putting the Aggies on the board. After a field goal on the Aggies' following drive, though, defensive end Ricky Ali'ifua sacked Boise's quarterback, causing a fumble which was recovered by Kyler Fackrell at the 11-yard line. Myers then completed this pass to Hunter Sharp, giving the Aggies a 17-3 lead over the Broncos. 3 plays later, Nick Vigil sacked Boise's quarterback, causing another fumble, which was recovered by Jordan Nilsson at the 15-yard line. This led to another touchdown by Lawan Hunt. Then our own Torrey Green intercepted the ball. Later in the second quarter, Myers rushed for 39 yards right through the Broncos defense for a touchdown, and the Aggies were leading 31-10. Just 2 plays later, Kyler Fackrell forced a fumble and Bryant Hayes recovered the ball. And then Myers connected with Hunter Sharp in the corner for a touchdown. The Aggies were leading 38-10. Right before the first half ended, the Broncos quarterback threw the ball, which was intercepted by Marwin Evans. He then ran it 90 yards right past Boise's defense for another Aggie touchdown. But for Boise State, we'll just stop it right here.
Unbelievable night. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it in the first half as far as the turnovers. And the key to the game was obviously those turnovers, but it was turning around and getting them into touchdowns.
The Aggies snapped a 12-game losing streak, beating Boise State, beating them 52-26, and will play this weekend at San Diego State. The USU soccer team is now 4-4 in conference after their 2 home games over the weekend. On Friday, the Aggies beat Air Force with goals from number 34, Jane Robison, and number 3, Jessica Brooksby. Goalie Jeannie Waller also had 7 saves, helping the Aggies shut out the Falcons 7-2-0. On Sunday, Brooksby led the Aggies with 2 goals, one in the 15th minute and another in the 47th.
We need to really come out and give every team
half.
our best.
Another goal by Wesley Hamblin to help another on the board. And the Aggies won 3-2 over the Colorado Tigers, and it gave them the momentum they needed to finish out the regular season.
Every game matters, and in the home stretch of the conference, we need to really come out and give every team our best.
The Aggies have 2 away games this weekend, but you can see them in their last conference game before the tournament next Friday. On Wednesday, the Fremont Silverwolves tried to take a bite out of the Skyview Bobcats' undefeated record, but they didn't even come close. Bobcat quarterback Garrison Beach launched the ball to Braken Holbrook, who has more space than Star Wars, and he ran it 20 yards into the end zone. Later in the game, the Bobcats pushed forward until they got just 10 yards from the end zone, and Beach passes it to Bryce Mortensen for a touchdown. In the end, Bobcats gave Fremont a severe beating with a score of 44-10. In Cache Valley, both the Skyview Bobcats and Mountain Crest Mustangs are undefeated. That's going to change this weekend when they go head-to-head on Friday. We'll show you the results next week. He may be America's favorite or least favorite athlete, but according to a recent poll, LeBron James is the nation's most favorite athlete for the 2nd year in a row. Other favorites include Michael Jordan, Aaron Rodgers, Steph Curry, and Tom Brady. You can watch LeBron Tuesday as the Cavs take on the Bulls, and the Utah Jazz also begin their regular season next Wednesday against the Pistons. The volleyball team is 5-17. Tune in next week to see if they beat Wyoming and Colorado State. That's all for sports. Back to you, Misty.
Thanks, Taylor. When we come back, we'll show you what a local company is sending to breast cancer patients.
And a place you might actually want to talk politics with your pals.
Sorry, I've got big ideas.
As a college student, you have big ideas to make a big difference on campus. Why not get funding for those ideas in a big way? The Blue Goes Green grant provides funding for student sustainability projects. These projects help USU students be more environmentally responsible, live healthier, and save money. To find out more, go to usu.edu/BGG. Get funding for your Blue Goes Green idea in a big way. Blue Goes Green. Make a difference.
Welcome back to ATV News. I'm Misty Inglet. Every person diagnosed with breast cancer in Utah this year will receive something called a comfort kit, thanks to a volunteer project on Saturday. This box is filled with comfort items. It's stuffed with pillows, pajamas, socks, and more. The charity event was organized by Maloof, a pillow company that donated pillows. They also came up with the comfort kit idea. On Saturday, volunteers put together 1,500 kits, which will be delivered to every person who gets breast cancer in Utah for the next year. The kits are supposed to comfort those diagnosed. Each kit also has a personal touch enclosed.
Every kit has a handwritten letter, a small note that just offers words of hope, and is written by people who don't even know who's going to receive it.
The project was happening. The American West Heritage Center was hosting its annual Fall Festival. The festival was a 2-day event and brought in 5,000 people on Saturday alone. The event was very family-oriented, with activities ranging from pony rides to corn husking. The event also introduced a new activity called the Witches Walk, focused on breast cancer awareness. The Fall Festival takes the American West Heritage Center more than 6 months to put together. They say to never talk politics with your friends. Liberty on the Rocks has a different idea. Cold drinks, slices of pizza, and political views were shared on Thursday at the Factory Pizzeria. The national group Liberty on the Rocks hosted the event to get people in Cache Valley talking current events and politics. The group started 2 years ago and recently changed their meeting place from the Beehive Grill. Since the switch, the meetings have doubled in size, and organizers hope to keep their momentum.
I hope one day to get 100 people at this event. Like, anybody's invited. You don't just have to be a student. You don't just have to love Liberty. It could literally be anybody.
The next Liberty on the Rocks meeting is planned for November.
And finally, something you can do or not do to keep your drinking water drinkable. This biker just rode over a storm drain. That's the end of the gutter, not the garbage can. The storm drains at USU eventually lead to local ponds and rivers, pollutants and all. That's why concerned students use about 160 stencils to paint reminders by the drains. They hope their message will have a positive effect on campus and will remind Aggies that the only thing going into the drains should be rain.
Soil, leaves, things that we think are pretty harmless, even those things can have an effect.
Nobody wants to pollute water. I think people just didn't understand where these drains went. And I think that having those reminders right there, right at the point at which you're ready to dump something and you go, oh, wait, I don't want to do this.
Arthur Wallace says there will be more events and tips on how to stay water-wise as we wrap up 2015, the Year of Water.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of ATV News.
Tune in next week for our Halloween episode of Cache Rendezvous. Have a great week.